Shakespeare is often treated as a sacred text, so I feel like it takes bravery to make changes and to have Hamlet doing coke in a nightclub. Can you speak to your approach of reinterpretation and not being afraid to make some bold choices in a adaptation of such a, well-known work?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for speaking. Yeah, I think you're right. It's obviously got this very, very sacred and revered kind of aura around it, any Shakespeare text. So it is intimidating, and I was kind of suitably intimidated. I think what helped and made it slightly less daunting was having the incredible screenwriter Mike Leslie, whose kind of mind is quite a kind of a special place when it comes to Shakespeare. He really has a deep and kind of comprehensive kind of understanding of it. He's also adapted Macbeth by the Justin Kurzel film that Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard are in. And he has this amazing, he's a kind of this amazing mind where you can fire these kind of ideas at him, and he can kind of quite quickly process the kind of wins you'll get, but also the kind of dangers of what it might bring, 2 acts later or whatever. Um, but I think ultimately, to answer your question, I think, it's what you have to really do with Shakespeare. I think it's there to be reimagined in different ways. We all know we've seen this play adapted before countless times, whether it's on stage or film. If you're going to do it again, I think you need to be bringing your approach to it and doing it through a particular lens. Um, and our lens was, can we strip it all back and make it this lean, kind of more propulsive story where we're really rooted in Hamlet's perspective, where we're kind of on his shoulder, kind of unraveling with him, and where we go on this kind of more visceral psychological journey and kind of prioritize the emotional experience rather than a kind of an intellectual one. And yeah, practically speaking, what we did was we stripped a lot of the scenes away that don't have him in. And so we're kind of always with him. It's this kind of first person approach, I suppose.
Yeah, this film really moves along. It feels like pacing wise like a modern thriller. What made you want to, set it in modern day London and have this very modern pace to the film, but also have them speaking Shakespearean English? Can you speak to that choice?
Yeah, well, I think when you strip Hamlet to its kind of core, it is this quite timeless story. Here's a guy who's kind of entwined in these kind of corrupt, quite grotesque kind of systems. And he's kind of horrified by them, but he's also kind of part of them. He's at once like ashamed and complicit, which feels like a very timeless like duality, to be experiencing. It feels like politically, when you think about the world right now, it feels like where a lot of us are at. Um, so I think it felt, like it was speaking to something quite contemporary. But also, I think creatively, you know, a lot of our conditioning to Shakespeare is kind of that it's an intellectual experience that we kind of sit in the theater and at an arm's length from, and we watch this kind of quite cerebral kind of process unfold. And we analyze the kind of beautiful, complex prose and the kind of like clever plots and things like that. And that it's kind of cerebral first and emotional second. And so it felt interesting to approach it the other way around and come at it from this kind of uh yeah connected kind of propulsive naturalism kind of language. Um and but then the most exciting version was to keep the language because that's what's so beautiful and that's what's at the heart of it, but find a different and fresh way into it rather than abandoning it all, which felt kind of slightly pointless. I think that the challenge for us was can we, retain this language, but find a new way of performing it, capturing it, filming it, and kind of harnessing it that makes it feel somehow rooted in the everyday, the kind of lived in, the conversational somehow almost.
That makes total sense. And I love how you shot the to be or not to be section. Riz is driving dangerously down the road. How was it shooting that scene? Because it's like one take, it's really intense. I love that scene in the film.
Oh, thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the big challenging set pieces. Weirdly, the most challenging thing about that was just the really mundane problem of finding enough road, actually. Um, probably easier in America, actually, with those amazing highways. But, here to lock off on an indie budget to find whatever it is, 3 minutes of road that you can lock off at night safely and not have to drive about 20 miles per hour on was a massive challenge, and actually like respect to the locations manager Eugene Strange who eventually found that. But yeah, what happened was in the end we could find like maximum of something like 2 minutes 42 seconds of road if you're traveling at 60 miles per hour, and uh the speech was running longer than that, and I remember texting Riz and saying, right, so basically you're gonna have to do to be or not to be in 2 minutes 42 or under. And Riz being Riz, he just texts back being like, okay, it is what it is, let's do it. So it brought this kind of urgency. Every decision we made seemed to, however inadvertently, just bring more urgency and more kind of s- propulsion to each thing, which kind of felt fitting for that.
I love that story. My last question for you. You and Riz are obviously great collaborators. You did The Long Goodbye before this. Why do you think you two work so well together?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got such respect for him as an actor. I think what's interesting with Riz is he's like a fiercely intellectual guy. He's so smart, so well read, so well versed, so able to kind of speak so eloquently on any topic you give him really. But actually, when it comes to filmmaking, performance, and things, I think he wants to strip all that away and come at things physically and kind of emotionally. I think he wants to kind of embody these roles and ultimately is kind of like an emotional human being. I think he wants to feel things. Even if he has the intellectual capacities, kind of understand anything he wants. I think he wants people to feel. And I think that's kind of the filmmaking approach I've always taken. So I think that's probably where we connect. Yeah.